The Kevin Durant trade market appears to be taking shape. There are 5 teams listed today by Shams that have interest in KD and that he would be interested in going to. So we're going to cover this. We're going to break it down. Let me know in the comments as well. What team do you think he would be best on and make the biggest impact on? And also, what team do you think he'll wind up going to? Because maybe those two are the same, maybe they're not, right? So quick recap on Kevin Durant. He's got 1 year on his contract at $54 million next year, currently at 51 under this current NBA cap for the 24-25 season. But, with Kevin Durant, he's in a unique position. Unlike Giannis, who's got really no leverage, really. He's locked up for several years. Kevin Durant's on the last year of his deal, so he has multiple things he could do. Like if a team tried to trade for him that's not one of these teams, like the Clippers, let's just say the Clippers, he could say, yeah, I don't want to play for the Clippers. So sorry, if you trade for me, I'm not going to give you assurances I'll re-sign for longer, all these other things. And that would probably deter a team like the Clippers from making the trade. Now, there's going to be that one ballsy team out there that's like, we're still a KD away, like how Kawhi did with Toronto, right? They were pretty clearly like, all right, that's fine. If you leave, you leave. We'll get a championship out of it. And they did, right? Um, so anyway, a team could be ballsy and do that, but typically that's going to keep a team away. And he also can say that, and then what could wind up happening is if you're the Clippers in that case, you go back to Phoenix and say, well, he said he's not going to resign. We don't have assurances. So maybe let's take this first round pick off the table. Maybe let's take this young asset out of the deal. Here's this matching salary, maybe some seconds, take it or leave it. Right. So that's one thing that could happen with Kevin Durant getting in the middle of a situation like that. Otherwise, if he's traded somewhere, let's say Houston, who probably has to trade Van Vliet, I think that's the cleanest way to do it. He could reach out and say, sorry, guys, because he's just right in the middle of this. I actually really want to play with Van Vliet. He's a dog. I love him. I want to play with him. So maybe make this deal without Van Vliet, because if you do this the way it is currently, I'm not going to resign because I really want to play with Van Vliet. So then both those teams are going to go back and be like, well, how do we restructure this deal to get it done? So all of that's in the middle here with Kevin Durant having simply 1 year on his contract. He can just keep leveraging that contract, right? So that's the situation he's in. So Shams reported earlier today that Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant's business partner, Rich Kleiman, are sorting through trade options with interested teams mainly featuring Houston, San Antonio, Minnesota, Miami, and New York. I think he could impact all these teams. I think he could go to all these teams and be successful, assuming that these teams aren't giving up too much talent. Like obviously the stuff's off the table. Like if you're Minnesota, you're not giving up Ant. That goes without saying, right? But if you're Houston, are you giving up too much if it's like, let's put Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, and matching in that? Is that too much? Like, I do wonder about that, right? So if you're Phoenix, you're obviously trying to get back your own draft capital. So you would probably be preferring a deal with Houston. I don't know if any other team in this mix has any picks from Phoenix, but you're ideally trying to deal with Houston and get something done so you can get your capital back so you can pivot your team away. Now, are they going to try to pivot into a rebuild hardcore? Probably not, because they want to keep Booker around. They've already done that. They're involving him in their processes, all that stuff. So probably not. They also probably want to get back some players that can help them be competitive right now. But at least if they happen to have a season where it's a down season like this current one was, it can be on their own terms. That's probably best case scenario for them. But otherwise, young players or a player like Jaden McDaniels in this mix that could be good alongside Booker right now on Booker's timeline. I think that if you're Phoenix, you're looking for all of those things. But the caveat is, can you get all that stuff? I don't know. What is Kevin? I'm gonna ask you guys this. What is Kevin Durant's trade value today? That's a serious question because I don't know. He's got the cachet. He put up 26, 27 points this year. He's freaking Kevin Durant. He's a bucket, one of the greatest scorers the game's ever seen, still playing at a high level, able to impact winning. I guess I shouldn't really say that because this year he didn't, but I think he would impact winning on these teams. He's dealt with injury issues though, right? He's older. He's got that contract situation I detailed. What is Kevin Durant's trade value? Is it young players plus first round picks, like the typical superstar trade? No, probably not, right? Is he getting some fake firsts that maybe don't convey or just super protected? What is Kevin Durant's value? I don't know. So if you're Phoenix, I think you are going to have to mull over whatever offers you get and take the best one. Now, there's the nuclear option where even though KD wants to get traded now, they don't have to trade him. I would assume they do because you just don't want that around your locker room. But, they could hold on to him until the deadline and see if things change. Maybe he plays his way into better value at that point. I don't know. So anyway, Kevin Durant currently making 51, 54 next year, which flips over, I believe, next month. So in terms of him, like if the Knicks were to make the trade, I'd assume it would be Cat, right? But the thing is, with all these teams, pretty much you're going to need 3, 4, 5 teams because the current landscape of the NBA with the apron and all that stuff, it just requires 3, 4, 5 teams. Remember the old saying, 3-team trades are where trades go to die? Yeah, that's kind of gone, right? Because nowadays we need to have as many teams as possible together to match the salary and get that stuff because of the restrictions, right? So anyway, I'd assume it would be Cat, but otherwise maybe they could put together something like Bridges. I think that you're probably best suited to trade Bridges, actually. Here's the deal. Bridges is going into the last year of his deal at $25 million. I can't fathom what he wants next year. The following for the next contract. Like, what is Bridges even asking for? Phoenix is a team that knows Bridges, knows what he can offer. I'd assume they'd welcome him back unless he burned bridges on the way out, which I don't know. Burn bridges. That's funny. I'd assume that Mikal Bridges would be welcome back there. Now, can you do that plus a Josh Hart, plus matching salary, maybe a couple draft picks that are like second round or something to get it done? I think that would be clean. But Cat, I would say, is mostly off the table if I were in charge here, but I'd say Cat's the most likely just because he's got so much salary. It's like nearly a dollar for dollar match. Not really, because there's like $1 million difference, but it's pretty close. So maybe you can just make something work around Cat. And I don't know if that's better, but the thing is that if you get off Cat there, you actually get off the remaining 2 years on his deal. And there was a report that they're not interested in Cat. I don't know. Cat is one of Booker's best friends. I can see him pushing for that trade. I don't know. But yeah, the Knicks is just kind of weird. Minnesota, I'd assume that they try to move one of the front court guys. If they could get off the Gobert contract, that'd be great probably for them. I'm somebody that thinks Gobert is better than he gets credit for being talked about online. But regardless, he is somebody that I think they've got a fit issue with him, Randall, and Reed. When you dig into their numbers, like 2-player combinations of these guys that aren't Randall and Gobert together typically were really successful on the season, despite the fact that Randall and Gobert started to develop more chemistry as Randall became more of a playmaker and stuff at the end there. But, I think that you're probably still just looking to get off of one of those bigs. Aside from that, I think that Randall with McDaniels together probably gets this deal done. You'd give Phoenix some flexibility with the fact that Randall is 1 year on the books. Maybe they want to extend him. Maybe they don't. McDaniels, I think, fits their timeline. Ideal type of player to put alongside of Devin Booker. He is locked up for a reasonable salary for a number of years. I think he's the type of guy you should be trying to target if you are Phoenix in a deal with Minnesota. Are you looking at somebody else like a DiVincenzo? I don't think they'd give him up. They'd obviously not give up Ant. So they're not giving up Reed. So it's kind of slim pickings. Maybe there's a sign and trade with somebody like I don't know, right? Miami, well, the only players I can see really being off the table. They have some good role players like Mitchell and Highsmith. I'd like some other guys that are here like I would like on my team, like Hawkes and Ware, but for the most part, I'd say Bam and Hero are off the table, of course, and they would try to put something together with Wiggins, Rozier, Robinson, and Anderson, all just like matching salaries. Some combination of those guys together, I think, would get a deal done if possible. Again, barring draft compensation. And then for Houston is, for one, they need to wait until next calendar year, which again is like, I believe, next month. They need to wait for that because a guy like Jalen Green balloons from 12 to 33 million. Are you, after his showing in the playoffs, where he had one good game? It was a really good game, by the way, but he was really underwhelming. Are you invested in Jalen Green as a backcourt player on this team? And then also, for the record, if you're Phoenix, do you even like the Jalen Green trade? I don't know. Like, on one hand, I could say that I think it'd be fun backcourt with him and Booker, but on the other hand, I think that there's some redundancy, right? Like, you need more of an actual point guard in there. So anyway, I don't know. But aside from that, or like I mentioned earlier, Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith, that could be kind of a lot because you're not giving up Thompson either. Like, I don't know which of these players you'd piece together to get this deal done. But that's why, like I said, they're typically going to require multiple teams. It's not going to be a one-to-one. So while I listed off some of the teams that that are listed, and then also ways that they can make a deal work potentially that has no implications on like the salary cap structure, all that stuff. I'm not an expert at that type of stuff. The apron is still really confusing for me, so I don't know if these teams could have even done those deals, but those are the players that they'd probably be trying to move out in some sort of package for Phoenix. But ideally for Phoenix, like I said, you're trying to get back young players that can fit your current timeline or that you can get in your developmental pipeline. And you also would like to get back your own picks, ideally, but draft compensation, I think in general, should be welcomed. And then maybe even flexibility, because, you know, you do have the money locked up for a couple of guys. You'd like to have some flexibility to where you can maybe pivot around them. I think Beal's got 1 more year, right? 1 or 2 more years, but you'd probably like to get a little bit more flexibility around the roster anyway. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't seen it. Check out Trevor's video from earlier today as well on the screen right now.